son.
Morning, how are you?
Good.
So,
He's an ex-South Vietnamese Army officer, right?
Yes.
okay,
And he was in prison a little bit after the war, but he can tell you whatever you want to ask him for your story, you know. And he's been a lifetime member of the Associate Vietnam Veterans in America for a long time. And we picked him up in our chapter in 2012
Okay.
when we first formed.
I guess just kind of tell me your story. We'll start there if that's okay.
I was second lieutenant with the Army of South Vietnam, and I was with the 65th Construction Engineering Battalion. It was in stationed in Wyenandt. And after the 1975, I was still there, and because I was an officer of South Vietnam, so the communists put us in jail about 3 years.
Wow.
And after that, I was released, and I was put in the prison at home.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me to labor camp. I stayed there for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Then found a way to escape. I went through Cambodia to Thailand,
Mm-hmm.
but when I got to Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia, at that time the communists control Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was arrested by the communists again in Phnom Penh. I know that when I was arrested, then I know that I would be sent back to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was pretend to be a civilian, and I have a big family with a family of 8 children, and working and stay in new economic zone,
Mm-hmm.
which they call new economic zone, but actually it's they send people in Saigon
Mm-hmm.
to the jungle.
Okay.
They let people there, and let them try to survive by their own.
Wow.
And if you cannot survive, a lot of people try to come back to Saigon and live as a hopeless
Mm-hmm.
or die in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
Then when on that night, I have the release my release the paper from prison
Mm-hmm.
from prison. Then but I hide it in inside of my trap.
Okay.
And at that time I thought I have no I have to hide my ID.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it out, and I chose it and swallowed it, because there's no I cannot put anywhere
Right.
during
Yeah.
the room. So I just chew it and swallowed.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next day, when they try to investigate,
Mm-hmm.
then it was luckily that when they searched me, I still I hide my gold in which I used to spend on the way.
Okay.
I hide my cap.
Mm-hmm.
Then I also have a gold ring
Mm-hmm.
with me. Then while they are investigating, I took my ring
Mm-hmm.
and put it on the table
Mm-hmm.
and just slowly forward it to toward the guy.
Uh-huh.
Then he looked at it and he understood.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said he took it. He said let me go to ask the boss.
Okay.
Then after a while he came back and he said he took me he bring me to the private room.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, if I release you, you have any question? I said, no question at all.
Mm-hmm.
But before that happened, when they asked me if I try to cross the border, I said, no, I have a big family. I just want to go to the border to buy and thing to help my family. I said, go. So what do you help? You have because of when they search me, I have no money and no
Right.
ID.
Right, yeah.
I said, how can you buy a thing and you have no money? I said, well, a while ago, before I crossed the ferry,
Mm-hmm.
when I get off the bus and to go to the restroom, and I lost my wife, and she took my money and my all paperwork and ID,
Mm-hmm.
and they said after when they was about to release me, I said, how can you go? Where you go if I release you? I said, well, I know that my family, my wife's family is very close from here, so I can look for her.
Mm-hmm.
Then he let me go.
Wow. Wow. So when did you come to the United States?
I came in March 1981.
Okay. So what made you want to get involved?
And when I have a lot of activity when I with my community during the time I worked for Artcom in St. Louis
Okay.
during my community,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that in order to do it effectively, I think I should know people, and I need support from local and from American.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that my best friend was I think should be the Vietnam vet.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time I found no one around.
Okay.
Then when in California they open arm for people like us for the. So even though I was in I'm in Huntsville, but I joined them in California.
Okay.
Then during that time I still found no one around here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Then one day a friend of mine gave me the information about the new chapter here.
Mm-hmm.
I came and talked to them. Then Mr. He invited me to join them as a membership.
Mm-hmm.
I said I have been a member for many years.
Right.
Yeah, then he still didn't understand because it's weird for him.
Right.
So then he passed me the application.
Mhm.
I thought, yeah, here's I have the ID. I show him my ID in California and said, wow, how could you get this? I said, well, I joined I went them for a long time, even though I didn't
Right.
meet anybody.
Okay, that's great. So what role does everyone have in the lecture series coming up?
I'm supposed to escort the
Okay.
guest speaker,
Okay.
Command Sergeant Major Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 1067, has a table set up in the lecture conference room.
Okay.
And we have applications there. We don't sell any merchandise at that event. We just try to get new members.
Okay.
And in the past, 2 times, I believe, Son set up he had a whole bunch of pictures from South Vietnam and everything, and we put them on the boards and set them up there, and he took off from work and was there
Okay.
with us. So Son's been real supportive, and he comes to a lot of meetings, and he got to know a bunch of people. And then the chapter, the state president, Wayne Reynolds, invited me to bring him to a state meeting because he
okay.
wanted to have him talk at the state meeting,
Oh, neat.
which they call it the Alabama State Council. They're over all the BVA chapters in Alabama.
Okay.
But other than that, we walk around and talk to the crowd. And of course, they have a lot of weapons and equipment on display from the Vietnam era. And they have donut dollies there. They're trying to make it look like it was back then.
Right, yeah.
And they've told us this year they're gonna have some donut dollies that really were in Vietnam. And so they're gonna have them plus newer ones.
Okay.
And of course, they serve a free breakfast and free lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then the veterans are given a coin, a commemorative coin, which John Perry, who runs, he's the one that started this lecture
Mm-hmm.
series, and so he gets sponsors and orders those coins,
Right.
and then when they sign in over there to come to the lecture, they get one of those commemorative coins.
That's great. So why would you encourage people to come to this, especially some veterans who might be hesitant to participate in something?
Well, a lot of veterans, you know, they don't like to talk about their experiences in Vietnam. Some of them we can't even get to join our chapter because a lot of them are reclusive, they have no friends, they're depressed. Of course, you know about the suicide rate, some commit suicide. And now we're getting at an age, you know, we had the 50th year anniversary, and a lot of us are, you know, approaching 70 or in our 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And so the BVA national headquarters is worried about that. They've had conferences and stuff. They're worried about how they're gonna carry on the legacy, but they decided it would stay the Vietnam Veterans of America until the end, until they're all gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really are trying to educate the children in school. And so we try to get the local schools support, and we try to get all veterans, not just Vietnam veterans, but we try to get them to come and hear the lecture and see all of the equipment and stuff. And they've had low attendance in the past, so they changed it to a Saturday this
Right,
year,
yeah.
hoping that would improve the attendance.
Okay.
And it's a DOD, the DOD Commemorative War Office. Part of their mission is to educate the children and the younger adults, the millennials, that really don't know how Vietnam really was. They just know what they've been told.
Mm-hmm.
And they know from Jane Fonda and all those
Right,
people.
yeah.
And of course, John Kerry.
Right.
You know, I don't know if you know his background, but most
Right.
veterans don't like him either
Yeah.
because he became a war protester, burned all of his awards and stuff, and then later he asked for them back.
Right.
And then, of course, we know what he did from then on in
Right.
Congress and everything. But we just encourage them to come out and bring their families. We encourage the families in the community to bring their children. and learn about the Vietnam War and hear some of the experiences and stuff, because it's just like what's going on nowadays with the election. What you hear from the media is not
Right.
so far from what is real. It's unreal.
Yeah. Excellent.
And of course, that's why they built the memorial, the Madison Huntsville County Memorial. Believe it or not, I've talked to a lot of people that don't even know it's there.
Oh,
They've
wow.
never seen it, you know. And we'll be having our 6th annual Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day ceremony, April the 8th, 2017. And that's, of course, held at the memorial there on
Right.
Monroe Street.
So you'll be on hand this year to talk to people as well?
We're trying to get him to get us some boat people.
Okay.
John Perry wants some of the boat people.
Right.
And he told me before he went on vacation, he'd try to get me some. So we're hoping he can come up with some boat people.
I think that the word boat people, it include all people who escaped from the Vietnamese communists, either by sea or by land, or even though by dropping the airplane and flew out.
Yeah. That's great.
But
Anything
we're
else?
hoping he'll get us some for us to honor
Yeah.
at that 50th anniversary. He told me before he went on vacation, he would work on it when he got back.
Yeah, I have some even though friend in there, but I talked to them, but and I said he may come, but I don't know whether he want to show up or not, because as you know that when I joined the chapter here, not many people, Vietnamese around in my community can come. The thing is that they still have family in Vietnam,
Right.
and they want still come back and visit them. But the problem is that when they come back, the communists, if they join us and do the activity against the communists, they will have a problem. Yeah, the communists, they even though to get hold their passport in the airport, right in the airport, or even when they get home, they will have everything, even the picture or whatever. They
Right.
even because as I show up in this, so the communists would know they are around.
Wow.
That's why many people, when they just get to the airport, and they don't let them come in, or even when they come in, then they have trouble. They have to report to the local police, and the main thing is that they want some money.
Right.
Yeah, bribery.
Just give them the money, so you're okay.
But how did you actually get back with your family and get your family out?
I have never come back to Vietnam since I left.
Well, how'd you get your family? They went into Cambodia?
My family, no, I don't have any. But when I married in St. Louis.
Oh, so your daughters, and that's not your family from Vietnam?
No, I married my wife's immigrant to St. Louis.
Okay,
And
so
I met
and
her
you
there.
and her had your children.
My daughter was born in St. Louis in 1992.
And she graduated from UAB?
UAH.
UAH
Okay.
here in Huntsville. And also, Son was instrumental in the university. You know, I told you about how we were trying to educate not only the children, but the college students and stuff. They have what they call international day or international Anyway, the flag, they were honoring the flag of North Vietnam. And Son was instrumental, and he told me about it. And he couldn't go out there with his daughter because of that. And so he told me about it. And we started paperwork to the legislature, and Bill Holtzclaw helped us. And they got a bill to the Senate and the House for the state of Alabama to honor the South Vietnamese flag, the one that we fought under,
Right.
the one that he fought under.
Right.
And so then the last 2 years we've come out there, that communist flag is not there. The regular flag of the South Vietnamese people is there.
Wow.
I think about that factor is that because the communists always want to expand their theory over the world.
Right.
So when even though they expanded to North Vietnam, then they try to do everything they can and to took over the South. And when we run away from, because myself, I was ran away from communists first time in 1954
Oh, okay.
with my family, even though I was about 6 or 7 years old at that time.
Okay.
I grew up in the South, fighting against the communists. And when we lost the war, we ran away from the communists second time.
Right.
They still keep follow us. Yeah, they send undercover people along with the refugee. Then they working from there.
Right.
They are spy, but they are just pretend to be one of us.
Wow.
They leave and they get the support from America, and even though that they still working for the communists. That's why they know everything is here, and you know that when they come here and they try to control people in here in the United States, because we
Well,
yeah.
that's what they're worried about today with those
Yeah.
Syrian refugees. They infiltrate with them.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
The communists infiltrated pretending to be one of them. And so they're here watching and reporting and stuff on them.
And as you know that when the communists controlled the Vietnam, and they control they kicked us from out of the city and took all the property. Then they get very rich, and now they even when they invite foreigner country to invest in Vietnam, actually with the most of the money the aid from other country go to their pocket, and they are rich, very rich, and they come even though they buy property in United States. And in California now, a lot of area they from the communists, they are high rank communists. They bought property here.
Wow.
And they live their own in that area. We cannot come, and they are millionaire.
Wow.
Even though at about more than 10 years ago, I saw right in Birmingham, a realty company. They announced that the first time they sold a property, it was about 11 million sum, and they paid cash. And they only said that the buyer come from Vietnam. And we know that who.
And that's a company or a big home, big mansion?
I think that's just like a
Community
Yeah.
in Birmingham, Alabama?
close to Birmingham. But I regret that I didn't have the picture, because
Yeah.
when they saw the picture from on the air,
Air.
the border of the property has a shape of a guitar, and in the middle they have a very very big building, just like a gas show in there, and they so inside I said I could believe it.
Wow.
That's money from, even though they got it from support from other country, and they took it from Vietnamese.
Wow. So do you feel safe here?
Oh yeah, I feel safe here.
Yeah. Wow. Anything else you guys wanna add?
Larry?
I'm fine, she knows my story. She knows my story.
So what organization do you work for?
Work for SED.
SED. So that's under MRDEC, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Some kind of engineer.
Yes.
Okay. I won't put that, I just need to let them know that I interviewed you, that's all. Okay. Anything else?
Well, I just said something to for most of my people very appreciate American to welcome us, and even though that we lost the South, we have only one country, but we lost it. Then, but I think that's the way the war situation, and you cannot do anything else. But even though after 41 years, so my people will still suffer the worst and worse and worse, and now I think that if I would like people to understand the situation and help our Vietnamese because they don't have any human right, even though for the it's very very tough for people, even though now, and I think that my country is in a worse situation because if the Red China we took over the Vietnam soon, if we couldn't do anything to reverse the.
So the ones that lived in the South and had children, and even if they fought in the war or not, they're still treating them really badly even today.
Yeah, and the whole country now, even though whoever, as you know that right now, the company, the name for Formosa, it's a steel company, and I think that they build a steel company, and they just the waste, they contaminate the whole country, and along the shore, fish, 100 tons of fish die, and the fish along the shore have no means to earn their living.
So they have to eat like dead fish and stuff?
Even though because the Red China, I think that's the purpose. They try to kill
Starve
every,
them out.
and
they
even
tried to
though
starve them out.
Try to starve them out.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it just like the Tibet in 1950. Yeah, and because when they cannot, they don't want to took by force, and they just poisoning the whole country, and a lot of area in even though the sea, the river, the fish just die because they even though they they put poison in the
Water.
In the river?
in the river, in the sea.
Wow.
And
To kill the fish so they can't get them and eat them.
and a lot of people die by eating things, even not
Poison in the fish.
Yeah, or even the rock.
not just the fish. Well, they a lot of different kind of chemical
They put on the rice fields?
on the food. Whatever they can bring to Vietnam because of their free trade. The Chinese come to Vietnam don't need a visa.
Wow,
They just come over and they
that's
brought,
unreal.
they bring food and they are all contaminated. And people die anytime. And we don't know, they don't know what they eat. And
And the US is starting back the relations with
hey,
them.
just couple days ago, when I was on vacation in California, I know for sure that we come to an restaurant. My wife was eating one kind of soup, and after two hours, she
She
vomited.
got sick.
Yeah, it's right in California, and we know for sure that the kind of dry onion, I think it come from China. We have 4 people, and all 3 of us didn't have that kind of onion. We were
You
okay.
didn't eat that, but your
We
wife
didn't,
did.
but my
She
wife
got
has a
sick.
different kind. Then they have that kind of onion. Then she got vomited. Then she was sick when she got home here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You just got home yesterday.
yeah. And even though yeah, on the news this morning they said a couple, the wife dead, and the husband was in serious condition because just eating. You know.
That was in California,
No, in Vietnam.
in Vietnam?
Yeah. Then I think that they, even though they have a ship to put poison in along the sea, the purpose is that they try to get the fisher away from the area they want to take over. And if they have no means to leave, they have to go. Then they will come because and many cities in Vietnam now they are all Chinese.
Wow.
They speak Chinese. The side business side Chinese, and even though the radio sometimes they get in and they broadcast Chinese language.
Propaganda, yeah.
Yeah.
Propaganda,
Yeah.
And the Vietnamese communists now they have I think they help China to because as the secret plan, the agreement between the communist leader and the communist Chinese communist, Vietnam will be hand over
To China.
to China
Wow.
in 2020, and in Vietnam the communist leader they grow their own food.
They don't eat none of the other food.
No, yeah, they know
ain't
that.
taking no chances
They
on
know that
anybody
food
poisoning them.
out there is poisoning, and they grow their own food.
So
Yeah.
the people in California, that your family in California, did you tell them about this food situation in California?
I thought because we was in pharmacy to
Get
get
medicine.
medicine,
Yeah.
and then they asked me which restaurant was that. I said that the one just open, just open their advertising there.
So they'll probably send their food inspectors to it.
I don't know yet. I just come back here and I don't know. I try to tell some people about
Right.
there to.
Well, most of y'all, when you get to the different towns that you finally settle in, like you came here to Alabama, you settled in Huntsville, Alabama, most of y'all get in the same community, right?
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of your own people that are living there. But y'all now feel like you're Americans, right?
Yeah.
United States citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know he's very patriotic.
Are you in contact with anyone back in Vietnam?
Oh yes, my family is even though my I have a lot. My sister and brother and still there. Even though I went about more than in 1996 and last 10 years ago, my mom died, but I couldn't. I dare to come back there.
Right.
Yeah, and even when my recently about 14 years ago, my dad passed away,
Mhm.
but I don't want to come back because I will get trouble.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, if you went back, you'd never get back out.
Yeah, in St. Louis, I was one of the people to show up and ask people and tell people that in the community that whenever the communists come and try to propaganda on the community and I was one of the people to get together and try to explain to people about the real situation in Vietnam, and I think the communists know me.
Probably.
They have a profile on you.
There's a
Yeah.
book, yeah, I'm sure there's a book.
One man, he has the same name and same age. He was there for very long time, and he was in he did not involved to any to army or.
But his name was same as yours.
The same as, and when they have they allow people Vietnamese to come back there, and he applied for visa twice, but it was denied.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Your last name is like Smith here, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
There's
common.
continuity.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah,
them.
there's a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in Cincinnati, there was a bunch in Cincinnati
Yeah,
that I knew because it's close to St. Louis.
yeah.
So you was in California and then St. Louis and then came here?
Oh, at first when I first come, I went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
Milwaukee,
How did you get to
Wisconsin.
Oh,
Milwaukee, Wisconsin?
Well, yeah, my people, Vietnamese people were welcome us in San Francisco. He was wondering why you come to. I said, well, the only one person I know is the friend. He was in my school, high school mate. He came here he come for a long time to study, and he's a professor in Milwaukee.
Where? I went to college in Milwaukee, so.
And
Small world.
he's a professor there, and he sponsored me to
Oh, wow.
Milwaukee. So that's the only
Wow.
the
So
place
how'd
I-
you get the job with the government?
After I finished my double E, so they come to recruit in school. Then I apply for, and I go from then on,
So they recruited you from college?
from college.
Yeah.
So where'd you go to school?
Marquette University.
Marquette?
You know?
Small world, Amy. You're
Wow,
blushing.
yeah,
You're
it's small,
blushing.
I don't find, there's not many of us down here, so that's.
So
that
then
makes
you
my day.
went from there to St. Louis?
Milwaukee to St. Louis?
Well, I get, at first I recruit to 1910, not an engineer yet.
Yeah,
As a 1910, I had 6 months training in Quad City.
okay,
And they moved me to Bell helicopter in with the forward, Dallas forward. Then when I got there, they told me that only one double E position here. If you want to get that, you will have to wait until he retire.
oh, wow,
Then I said, oh no, and how? Then the people advised me to move to St. Louis.
And get your degree there?
No, I finished degree
You
when.
you had the engineering degree?
Yeah, but when I applied the intern in I think in Texas, it's not open at that time. Then they asked me to see if I want to join 1910 while you are waiting. Then I said okay, because I will get whatever I can
Right.
when I get out of school.
wow,
And,
Now, what's 1910?
huh?
What's 1910? Are you
1910
saying-
is quality assurance.
yeah,
Yeah, then when I get to that, because I need a job when I finish
Right.
school.
Okay, so that's some kind of support thing?
Yeah, then I get to I accept that intern.
mhm,
Then the guy said, well, you get to you accept this, then you can apply for the other intern when it open.
wow.
But
It's like a
Well, later
recruiter.
you went to work in St. Louis. Did you come here when they moved all that from St. Louis to Arsenal, or were you already here?
no, when the government closed the outcome in St. Louis,
Okay,
Then you
was
came
out
so
here.
you're part of BRAC,
Yeah,
you came with
Part of
BRAC,
BRAC,
couple
yeah,
of friends, yes.
okay,
yeah. So then you've been here ever since then?
Yes.
So 1910 is almost like a recruiting service.
1910 is a series of quality assurance. Just
That you meet certain criteria for a job.
yeah,
Okay, so like your degree,
yeah.
and they can put you in a position for that
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah, no, of course, when I get the double E,
Yeah.
it's over quality.
Yeah, level.
Yeah, but I accept that at the moment because
You
I
need a
need
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
a job.
need a
yeah.
job.
So in other words, you got a lower job than what you
Yeah.
Right,
educated.
right, you accepted that job, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just get your foot in the door.
right,
that's right.
But you married your wife when you first got to California.
No,
Later?
when I working in St. Louis,
Then was she in California or St. Louis?
in St. Louis, I met
So
her.
y'all
in-
married there?
I met her in St. Louis.
And where was she from?
She's from Vietnam.
okay,
Did you
Yeah.
know her in Vietnam?
She come with as the series of they call HO when the Vietnam vet of the veteran of Vietnam they are allowed to come here. Then I met her in St. Louis.
Right.
it's quite the story.
And Vivian, she was born in
What did the French do in Vietnam for Vietnamese,
French. They
besides mess it up?
well, Vietnam history it was very long. Was history? It's the the Chinese dominate Vietnam for many time, and the total is about 1,000 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we took over from the French
Right.
in like 1954, 1955.
Yeah.
So we were actually in Vietnam before they
Right.
ever admitted.
Yeah,
And
Imagine that.
many time we the Vietnamese fought them back and kicked them out of Vietnam, but then later on they come back.
right,
Then because they're a big country, and after then the French the French come in 1884. That's the
That long ago?
1884.
1884. The fighting was happened before that, but 1884 is the agreement when we have to give up. We have to give up a few area of the south to the French.
And then we took over from the French then.
Then the French stay there for almost 100 years.
Yeah, because it was 1950, probably 55. I was thinking the first skirmishes were in 54. But the DOD Commemorative War Office honors Vietnam veterans from 1955
right,
to 1975.
yeah,
The Vietnam Veterans of America and the VA will not relent. They only pick it up in February of 1961, February 28th. There's people on the wall before that date. They are not, would you believe now, they are not considered Vietnam veterans because the VA and the VVA headquarters will not give in. And they keep saying, blaming it on the IRS and Congress, and the DOD War Office got information from Congress with a 1955 date.
Right.
I believe it's November 1955. So all the people that were in Vietnam prior to February 28, 1961, they're not considered Vietnam veterans. Craziest thing I ever heard of. There's people on the wall starting in like let's say they got one guy started in 61, so they got some there from 1958 and 59 on the wall in Vietnam. And and then when I did research on it, the first KIAs and WIAs was when that group went over there in 1955. And they got ambushed and they got attacked at their headquarters. They were kind of like these Green Berets and stuff. And they lost some KIA and a whole bunch of WIA. But those guys, they're not considered Vietnam veterans. And what was really sickening about it, I came from the VBA convention. That's their main convention every 2 years. And I came from the one in Illinois, which would have been, we're going on 17, it's been
2 years.
15, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years, yeah.
And I argued that point up there too during the convention, but it's on deaf ears. They're still using the IRS and stuff, saying they can't, the IRS determined it's a
Right.
Vietnam veteran. And the VA, they don't consider them people Vietnam veterans, so they're not getting all these benefits and stuff. Well, what was really sickening, I met a guy in a Cracker Barrel in Kentucky on my way back from that conference. And he had a Vietnam veteran hat on. And so I went over and talked to him, which I always do, gave him my card. And he told me he was there in 1956 and 1957. He was with that group that I had read about. And so he said some of the other people got wounded or killed. And I said, well, I don't really want to say this to you, but I said, do you realize the VBA and the VA does not consider you a Vietnam veteran? And I tried to get him to write me a letter and give me some facts on his units and all that stuff, but he never did. But I thought, man, this is so sorry that the VBA will not do anything about it, even if it is the VA. And I've had people that want to join my chapter that got turned down by National VBA because they were prior to that February 61 date. So they were like in 60, 59, 58, and they wanted to be lifetime members even. I sent their applications in, and every one of them, they sent them back, and they told them they could join the AVVA, which is what Sean is in, the Associate VBA of America, you know, and of course, not one of them was willing to do that, because they are Vietnam veterans, you know. So it's sad.
It is sad.
I don't know if you know or not, but Wounded Warriors,
Yeah.
they don't support Vietnam vets. And I find that hard, really
The
hard to
Wounded Warrior
understand.
Project.
Because we support them.
We support them.
Matter of fact, Joe Bongiovanni, you know, I
That's
helped
right.
him a lot when he had the Toyota
When the
dealer
Toyota
in
dealership,
Decatur. I even gave him, I ordered one of these, and this is the Marine Corps League too. And I spent 11 years in the Marine Corps before I went to the Army. So my 68 and 69 tour was with the Marines.
Right.
Then I went to the Army in 1970 as a warrant officer. And in 71, 72, I went back with the Army and went to the AmeriCal Division, 23rd Infantry Division. That's the one that Callie and them was in when they had the My Lai incident. And anyway, they don't, it's like they don't recognize a lot of these guys and units and stuff like that. And that really gets to me. But they don't like me at VBA, you know, because I'm always, and we've got the largest chapter in the state of Alabama
Right.
by far, and we just made the 12th chapter of the top 25 chapters in VBA. That means our chapter 1067 here in Huntsville, Alabama is larger than all chapters. There's only 11 bigger than us
Wow.
In the country.
in the country. That's, you know, they got some out of the country, like
Right.
some of these U.S. possessions.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, I try, you know, to get them to investigate and change that and everything, but all I do is make enemies. So they know me by
Yeah.
first name.
And then to compound all that, most of us have PTSD, and
Right.
and most of us are still to this day fighting with VA, even more.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Even me, and it's an ongoing thing. To be denied that they can't recognize your social security number, first of all, and second of all, they pull up a claim number and say, oh, this is your claim, it's open from 1970 when you filed an Agent Orange claim. That was me, 1970. I said, well, somebody work on that? You know, what's going on, 1970? Well, a
No,
couple people
because
looked
they're
at it,
not
nobody
gonna
made a
lie.
decision, see? It just shoved to somebody's desk.
Well, they say the VA as a policy denies every
Right.
claim. The first time it comes in, they deny it. They're hoping that the veteran will go away. They won't try to do anything. Because when they deny it, you've got sometimes only 90 days, but most of the time you got a year from the date of that decision. And if you don't send in what they call a DNA, do not agree with it, which later leads to the appeal process. But if you don't do that, and you wait till after that, one day after 1 year, they tell you can never, ever, ever, I don't care how bad off you are or anything, you can never file for whatever you file for on that.
On the
Whether it be
original file.
cancer, PTSD, some, like the diabetes came in 2001. A lot of secondary elements from the diabetes, you know, and that. So a lot of veterans, they don't understand that. They don't really read the letter that thorough, I guess, and they come to us for help, and it's been after that 1 year date.
You see, most of us or get mad.
And one-
He gets mad, I get
Right,
mad,
yeah.
and you get mad, and these doctors want to take you to Tuscaloosa and lock you up.
Yeah, to the mental
And-
house.
And the first thing you learn is you gotta keep calm. And now at the VA center, for the first time I've ever seen, there's armed guards in there.
Yeah.
There's armed guards.
Oh, you didn't hear the story about me at the VA?
Yeah, I heard.
Hospital in Birmingham?
I heard.
I got into it with them so bad over the PTSD people, and that was they didn't call it customer service office. They have another name for it, the patient affairs office
Yes.
maybe. But I went in there and I was trying to get them to change my address. I've been trying to change my address for 2 years. And every time they scheduled me for a PNC, they sent it to an address I lived at like 19 years ago, and nobody probably threw it in the trash or returned the sender. Anyway, I'd been trying. I even went to the Decatur office and got on a conference call with the VA people in the Decatur courthouse, and they said they would change it, and they still didn't. And so I went there that day. All I wanted to do was change my address
Right.
in their records. the PNC office would not even give me a copy of the paper that they had. You know, they had a paper and everything, but they refused to give it to me, which showed my wrong address and everything. And so then I went to the patient affairs office, and so I finally got up to the window and I told the guy what I wanted, and he told me to have a seat. And I sat there for about 15 or 20 minutes, the whole time stood. And then he calls me up and he said, now tell me again what you want me to do. I said, I want you to go in the system and change my address and give me a copy of it. And he says, I can't give you a copy of it. I said, then how do I know you did? I've been trying to do it for 2 years. And so anyway, he told me, well, you know, I'll go and take me in an office right there beside it and I'll change it, but I can't give you a copy of it. And I said, okay, then turn your computer screen around so I can see it. And he said, I can't do that neither. And then, boy, I went off like a bomb. And he kept telling me, calm down, I'm gonna call security. I said, when you do, you tell them they better send everyone they got and they better send the biggest one they got. Because I'm waiting right here. And 4 of them came in. And so anyway, they didn't touch me, you know, and I told them what I wanted and everything. And they looked at the guy and they said, why don't you take him in there and change his address? And he said, I'll change his address, but I don't show it to him. Oh, you know? And so they looked at me and they said, well, we suggest you go ahead and let him change the address and then see if it happens or not. And I said, okay. So they all 4 stayed right there till I went in there and he changed the address. And then I came out and they escorted me then to the door.
We had a town hall meeting at VA, what, 3 months ago or so?
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Were you there?
I was not there, but.
Okay, I sat there for 2 hours and listened to everybody talk. And when the VA said they were finished, I put my hand up. And I said, you know what? I said, I've been in here for 2 hours listening to this garbage. And I said, it's the same garbage you gave us 6 months ago when you were here at the library. And I said, the problem is, we're all not getting any younger
Right.
at all. And our injuries and PTSD gets worse. And I said, you show no sense of urgency whatsoever to a veteran today.
No, they're doing the new veterans.
That's right, new veterans, yeah, but not us.
Right.
And when I went to VA, when the VA office here opened in Huntsville, I went there for my appointment, and this lady wouldn't acknowledge me. When you stand in line, you gotta stand in line, you know. And I went over, she said next, and I went over there, and she wouldn't look at me, and she looked away, and I could tell she was angry. And I looked at her, and I said, ma'am, did I do something to make you mad? And I was kind. And she grumbled something. And I said, wait a minute. I says, the only reason you're here is because of me.
Right.
And I said, you have to understand that. And I said, if you don't change your attitude, I'm gonna go see somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awful. It's crazy. And they give you orders like you're a second-class citizen. And it's crazy how you're treated.
I know it.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the same with this gentleman, you know. I mean, I hate to be in his shoes, what he's gone through, especially with communists in Vietnam. And that's the reason we were there. And now they're back in there, and what he's saying about the fish.
Yeah.
I knew something about the fish, but I didn't know the whole story. And then he goes to California in the United
Right.
States,
And they're doing stuff to people there.
especially Vietnamese.
Yeah. Anyway, Son's gotta
Yes.
get back to work.
Yeah,
and
you
I'm
gotta
sure
get
you
to work. I gotta
back
get to work.
Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you as always.